so hard to make sense of the numbers you have. Are your sales numbers good? How about your social media numbers? You see folks who make money at this and are often left to wonder, how? How much do they really make? Well, on Page Numbers, author Bob McGough pulls back the curtain by interviewing authors at every stage of their career to find out the truth behind the numbers, and hopefully along the way, show you ways to grow your own little author empire. Welcome to Page Numbers. I have a bit of a surprise for y'all. Normally on here I interview authors because, frankly, I'm an author and I know mostly authors in the creative space. But on Going Now, there are all sorts of creatives. There are artists, there are musicians, there are filmmakers, and there are podcasters. So I wanted to start bringing on some folks that are friends of mine that I respect that are operating in these different spaces. So I'm super excited. A good friend of mine, Charles McFall, the rock god of podcasting, here in the digital flesh.
Super excited. I don't know if I've gotten a super excited before.
Yeah.
I'm happy. I thought when I first saw you on screen that we were just calling a golf tournament in Scotland, but that's you got the microphone and the beard and the hat's like,
oh my God.
Hey,
I missed
to the left.
I missed my calling. That'll be my retirement side hustle.
Because can you imagine though, an American like yourself, a deep South American in Scotland calling golf plays, they would eat it up.
Oh yeah,
they would eat it up.
And I was actually on my high school's golf team.
Wow.
Yeah.
Learn something new every day.
Look, I'm just excited because I've been on a podcast that you were the host now like four times, I think.
Wise and Nerdy, where fatherhood meets fandom.
Yeah.
Every con that you've been at that we did the show live, you've been a guest on the show. And I think we've had you on at least one other time as a substitute dad. So
why don't you just take a moment and tell us a little bit about you and just a little bit of how you came to be in the chair across from me in the digital space today.
Man, that is a long story.
Well, you've been at this a lot longer than most of the people I talk to.
20 years. Yeah. I did last August hit 20 years for me. It's just a desire to be heard. And the dueling spirits, if you will, of being totally suppressed and ignored and knowing life has to be better and wanting to scream and rage at the world and have people hear you. And that led to metal bands that did not do well. I think we performed worse than your golf team. I played a free church gig where I almost got hit in the face with a kickball. And that's the best gig I ever did. So
that's awesome.
My music career was not great. And then I discovered this thing that was called a podcast. Now, when I say that is I'd gone to the local radio station website, so I was no longer drive time anymore, but people had started letting you stream stuff online or perhaps listen to part of it. I'm like, oh, I will get on their site and see if I can listen. And it said, check out our podcast. It was not a podcast. It was their worst segments of the day, just put in MP3 format that you had to go to the site and click and download. But I still went, what's a podcast? And then I found a great site by Gary Leland called Podcast Pickle. I, to this day, do not know why he called it Podcast Pickle, other than he wanted it to stand out.
Yeah.
And it was wasn't even a network. You just go there, list your show so people could find you. And so I started pulling different shows from music and comedy, ultimately listened to a show called Two Guys, One Brain, who were on, this was... Where you come from is not always where you land, Bob.
Right.
And for my 20th, I had them come on along with a musician named Kevin Destruction, who was a part of all that journey from the early days. And, man, we used to tell the worst jokes. Talking about the two guys or two jailers in Washington State. Then I was a very active paramedic. And then you've got this guitar metalhead guy who works in some kind of warehouse with heavy machinery and saws and crap. And it was a mix of roughneck humor.
Yeah.
So that was 20 years ago. And then on my anniversary, I had them on to talk about that journey and look at where we all have come and just an insight to the audience who knows me now from then. And out of the gate, I made a suicide joke because that's the kind of jokes we made. But I did it on Be Awesome together, and Tyra was like, I mean, she was like, oh yeah. So, well, just so you all knew I was a rough guy.
Yeah.
You don't really realize how much I've polished and reformed to get where I am today.
So you've been podcasting for 20 years, and right now you're doing 3 podcasts? Or
About to be doing, let's see, I do one off the cuff called One EMS Assessment. When it's off the cuff, it's just when I can record it, have something to talk about with EMS, or it's now a charity. One EMS is now a 501c3. And so I'm working through all of that. We got our 501c3. I filed a nice zero-filled a 990 form that was like 20 pages long. But it's a lot. So I'm working on the charity aspect of it. So I'll probably do more content that way. But I typically talk to people in the field. This morning I actually recorded one because I had a doctor who they've started an EMS management program at a college. And so that one's kind of when the moment is right. Wise and Nerdy, where Fatherhood Meets Fandoms every week. Be Awesome Together with Tyra Burton is where creativity finds community, and that really is just talking to creators about their journey and just asking questions, just having we got tired of being awesome alone, so let's be awesome together. It's what we do. I'm still trying to get back to finding the stories. I have a whole lot in the can that I really just need to sit down, bite the bullet, polish it up, release it, and then just record more stories. And then I'm starting another one called We Serve, which is on weservenetwork.org. And it's about first responders, military, everybody who serves out there. And I'm working with them on that. So, I went from doing a lot of shows to working at a desk and doing minimal shows, but still making my footprint out in the cons and speaking engagements, to now swinging right back up to, now that I've left the desk, back into doing lots of shows again.
Yeah. You said you started out doing a lot of podcasts. When you say that, do you mean like serially, like you tried one for a while and it didn't really get you where you wanted to be, and you tried something else?
So I always had this bad mentality that somehow I believed that I could not be successful on my own. So I always had to have a co-host, which I do better. I do better energetically with somebody to bounce off of. Get inspired by something they say, jump on it like a wolf, rip the throat out with a joke and move on. It's hilarious. Joe lives through it every week.
Yeah.
Tyra's like, you're so mean to me. It's like, no, you wouldn't be laughing as I'm mean. I am very aggressive in my humor. But anyway, so I had that thought. And I would build networks, which means I'd be working on everybody else's show, because I thought, well, they do this really good thing. Let me help build that up and build the web. They don't do websites. I learned the hard way. If somebody's not going to put in the effort to make their stuff work, can't help them. So I would start a show on one topic, want to talk about another topic, so at any given time I was recording 3 different live shows a week. But 2013, I got laid off, and I'd already been building my podcast empire. So when I went on the hustle, I went on driving Lyft and Uber and whatever I could get my hands on. I worked with a live events team, building stages in the middle of fields to put on rock concerts, and learned all kind of stuff that way. But I was still doing at least 2 to 3 shows a week digitally, and hosting trivia and karaoke to make ends meet. And so I was doing gigs 5 nights, 6 nights a week. Some, like on Saturdays, I do a trivia, pack that up, then go across town and do a karaoke for the rest of the night and make, double money. But I was doing a lot of performing and I love it. And so that tapered down to when I took a desk job to squeezing in 2 shows a week. That's why the finding the stories kind of lapsed, because I wasn't sitting down. When you're on the hustle, I mean, work for yourself, hustle, whatever you want to call it. You and I had issues with my schedule and your schedule lining up so we could record, because you had a day job. I used to have a day job. Thankfully, I don't now. That I don't know how long that money will last, but I'm getting an endowment right now to chase one EMS.
Yeah.
But I'm also building immediate. But it's when you can record during the day, when you record on the weekends, nice, and everything doesn't matter because you're free. You can swap time with family. It's a lot easier. So I just kind of 5 shows I'll basically be doing a week, give or take.
Yeah.
Not quite a week, but and that's how I've always been.
Yeah. No, we talked about this once on a panel about how you need to find people that match your energy,
Yeah.
Like they don't have to, or energy or dedication or something like that, because I kind of ran into the same problem like early on before I started like writing novels. I kind of had that same mindset, like let's get a team together and go do something. But most of the time it was like let's design an RPG together, because we were going to be the next Wizards of the Coast, right? And I kept finding people that I would put all my eggs into. Let's do this together. And then 6 months later, I realized I'm the only one putting in any work or any significant work. And, it'd be rinse, repeat. So
it's still making no money, and still nobody's established as the head. And so then it's like, well, you can't maybe, my first network went that way. The second network did not go that way. I was like, this is mine. I kind of tried to pull the Marcus Lemonis, the Prophet TV show things, like, hey, I'm only going to be here for a week, but as long as I'm here, I'm in charge. That didn't go over super well with a lot of podcasts, but I know what I'm doing. I know what you're lacking.
Yeah.
You've got to trust me. And some of them did for a while, but ultimately it became like, we got day jobs. I'm like, so I've learned now. And you're right. We had a great panel. And actually, we shared a panel where one lady, and it might have been more than that, but at least one lady was talking about how they co-write a book.
Oh, yeah.
And they'd run the chat and have to check. I'm like, wow, that just even having the checks and balances and understanding how things work in that level of communication, I had to learn the hard way, coming up with so many different partners. I did. Technically, I'm an author. So technically, there's a book out there.
Yeah.
You used it. You then poured peroxide in your eyes and lit them on fire, but that's why you have no more eyebrows. Yeah. But that's okay. Yeah. No, you gave me some good advice, and I wasn't really sure. That's my problem. I get motivated by the people I'm around. And when I go to a writers convention like Chattacon and hang out with you and other awesome writers, I'm a storyteller, so I can take a lot of that and put it in my storytelling aspects, or even my game show. I've refined my game show with listening to some writing podcasts and panels like yours. But I was like, man, I think I might write a book. And then I get away from that energy. I'm like, I ain't got time for that. Why am I trying to write another book? At some point I might, but yeah.
Yeah. Oh God, I feel you. I was at work actually, and I was yesterday, and we had a potential contractor come in to look at partnering with our agency, and he told me when we were heading, I was walking him out of the building. He was like, "Yeah, I looked you up ahead of time. Are you the Bob McGough that like writes the books?" And I was like, "Yeah, that's me." He's like, "And do you do podcasting too?" I was like, "Yeah." And game design? I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "When do you find the time to do all that?" I was like, "I don't."
Yeah, right.
It's like balance. What is balance? Fun fact about that was Delilah S. Dawson that was the author on that panel, and she was talking about how she writes a book with Kevin Hearn. To me that was just really cool, and for the folks who watch this that are fans of them, they'll probably be, "Oh wow, you're on a panel with them." Wow, quality control has gone right out the window at Chattacon. There's exciting news for her. Terry Brooks, who wrote all the Shannara books, he's retiring, and he tapped her to carry the series on.
That's kind of the goal, the dream, right? The dream is what we create will pay us every day. The dream is all those beautiful books behind you will be like the Stephen Kings of meth heads, and just you're like, I can't find enough places to put my money. That is obviously the dream for all of us.
Yeah.
The goal is to make a splash and enough of an impact, even if you don't realize it, with your media, whatever you create, that something else you love comes along and hopefully also pays you.
So we're talking numbers. Let's dive into some numbers here. And podcasting is a very different game from books, obviously. Like I said, we mostly talk books on here. Books, you're selling, you have a physical product, or at least a digital product, if it's an ebook, that you are selling. That is the expectation. But podcasts, yes, there are some that you can pay for, or you can pay for subscriptions to different networks, or things like that. But for the most part, podcasts are free.
Yes.
So how has monetizing podcasts, what does that look like for you over the years? Have you had any
more, sir?
Yeah. Have you had much success there?
I would say yes. It does depend on how you define success. The bar graph of my career has kept going up, and while I have not signed that endorsement deal, that brand deal, that commercial deal to where I'm getting paid X amount of money per episode, what I have done is made, again, a bigger splash than I ever thought I did. And I have done some ads. I have been able to get into some ad programs, run some ads, make some money that way. We built a Patreon that was fairly successful with the Pokemon Go podcast. There's a story behind when you swap up what you do. You might lose some money in the process. And it wasn't a ton of money, but we've gotten to the point where we're trying to figure out how to build in a different direction back up with Wise and Nerdy. But what I did do was, as I made connections, as I had people on my shows, like we've done, how we've connected, and I just keep going, how can I be awesome with you? How can we be awesome together? What can we do? We invite you on, we play. That's how I do everything. We play together. Let's go play and let's do something. Let's perform. I've ended up getting to work with Jim Brewer from Saturday Night Live, and I love him. And I got to work with him. I've gotten to work with Adam Curry. I've gotten to do interviews with other celebrities that basically you just always record, right? I always ask permission, but I always record. So then that goes up on my YouTube. So when I want to pitch something else to somebody else, I have that credibility. And honestly, I'm on the verge of doing something else in medicine that will support everything else I do. That if I hadn't done my media, if I hadn't been so outgoing, if I hadn't gone to the cons and met people and been willing to help others be awesome, the opportunity would not be landing today. And it's not an opportunity to speak on my podcast or do media, which is what I love, but it'll absolutely be an easy path of a little bit of work, a whole lot of return, and then I can do support my media that way. Have you heard of Amway? I can hook you up.
Oh, yeah. Nice. No,
Tupperware even. I can
yeah.
sell you some Tupperware.
Yeah. No, I have a family member that's real big on selling Thrive. I don't know if you've heard of Thrive. And I keep thinking, if you want to sling me some dollars to put an ad on my podcast for all your Thrive stuff, I'll do it. I got no shame. So with your Patreon, you said that you had it was going pretty well, and then you, for those who aren't familiar with your specific journey, you and Joe had a really successful Pokemon Go podcast, right?
We were the number one podcast for Pokemon Go for a while in the world. So that is somebody else set up that show. Joe connected through them, and there was another co-host on the show. But the guy who set it up was building it to sell it. He saw the game coming and knew it was going to be a big property, and he sold it to Brian Ibbett and I right as the game was about to launch. So they already had, episode 0, and it had a few, here's some updates as the game coming. So when the game Pokemon Go launched, literally you could look in iTunes or your app store or whatever and go, your Pokemon Go, and right next to it was Pokemon Go podcast. So episode 1 launched to like 10,000 downloads instantly. And it's like, holy crap. Well, that was a nice tidal wave that didn't, but I mean, it didn't settle too far down, but it settled. But yeah, we had a nice steady audience, but it does go to show you got to do what you love. And I don't know, Bob, if you were approached to write crack loving vampires, I don't know if you want to change, but if somebody approached you to write, as we were talking about a little bit earlier, some of your events, write Christian fiction. If that's not you, don't do it. Yeah. Because as much as I built a great character on that show, Joe knew Pokemon. He loved it. And it became very clear. I played the game just for the show. And I would not memorize. I ended up learning their names anyway out of habit. But I would not memorize the names. I'd make stuff up as I went. I had every button gotcha thing you could hit to play the game, except play the game itself. But it's the humor and it was the love and it was the thing that we built there. And we just decided we didn't really want to talk about a game that much anymore because we were losing our passion because we just didn't like where the company was going with it. We're not news people, we're entertainment people. And we started careful what you start. For our patrons of that show, we started doing extra content after the show of just him and I talking, Joe and I talking, and fatherhood stuff came up and everything that is Wise and Nerdy now. We started doing it, and we were like 4 weeks into recording this Patreon stuff, I'm like, I honestly love our patrons to death, but I feel like this content is wasted on 20 people.
Yeah.
30 people. I really feel like we have something here, and we could have done just a second show, but we just swapped over. And ultimately, I don't mind telling you, we were averaging 1,000 downloads a week each episode, like when it launched. And then the long tail, you could go back, a month, 2 months, and it would be ticking up 2,000-3,000 downloads, right? And we had some ads on there, and our Patreon was decent. It wasn't the best Patreon I ever had. That was with Brian Ibbett on From the Helicarrier, but that one we were averaging $100 a month, give or take. Nothing to cry about, right? We loved it. And now it has settled down to about 150, 200 to a launch episode. And we get about, it's set, Patreon has changed some things now. So we got a real, that's the other thing too. I don't make the time to build the house. I mean, I'll build it and then I'll walk away, and then the building code changes and I don't go back and update the house. And I think we've gotten to, like, because they've changed the monthly, it was per episode. We've gotten to what says it's $24 per episode, but it's not.
Yeah.
We're not getting $24 per episode because we do 4 months. So we're definitely not getting $120 something. But.
Yeah. I've always done the monthly on Patreon, just a flat monthly fee.
And that's what they've gone to. They basically said that's working best for everybody, I think.
And they've made some changes recently that I'm really in favor of. People can do a 7-day free trial. That's not super new. They've been doing that for like a year now, I guess. But that has really helped me because 90% of the people who do the 7-day trial stay. And I'm not saying they're staying for my content. I'm just betting they forgot to cancel their their card. But hey, I'll take that. I'll take a pity purchase. But they're now, you can basically subscribe to Patreons without paying for them.
Yep. We have a large number of free members.
Yeah, and that's really helped because since they've instituted that, I have been gradually converting those in onesies and twosies that folks, they come and they see how much I'm doing on there and they're like, you know what? I want to see what he's actually doing. So here's two ideas I've been playing with. There's a book out there called All Creators Steal. I don't quite like that title because if you're like us, we're freely giving. We didn't reinvent the wheel. We've learned from other people. So I'm definitely going to be borrowing a lot of your concepts of like newsletter trades, those kind of things. But with Patreon, it is about extra content or stuff or access to the person. And so for Be Awesome Together, I've been listening to Writing Excuses with Mary Robin Cole. Robinette Cole, who I had the pleasure of sitting down 2 ChatterCons ago and interviewing her on a panel and became, I'd say, acquaintances. Like if we see each other, which we haven't since then, but I imagine if we see each other, it's like, hey, how's it going? Catch up. Would you like some coffee? Let's go sit down. But we don't like write or call each week. But I like her show because it helps me with my storytelling. But then I'm hearing, man, their Patreon is set up to where you're there as a writer and you want writing advice. Here's a level you can get one-on-one time or group time, or here's even more time. And like, that's it for Be Awesome Together. How do I do that for Wise and Nerdy? Other things I've been trying to figure out is I could get off an hour a day. I probably shouldn't, but an hour a day just to do gaming. But I'd only stream it through like Patreon or something. Yeah.
So give people a reason to go, man, I like this dude. Because even with writing, which I feel like is way harder with writing to do, and maybe you'll tell me different here in a second, you got to get people to believe in you. And when they believe in you, they want to support you. That's where somehow failed the mark all along the way. I've gotten support off and on, but like with the story from Pokemon to Wise and Nerdy, some of it came through.
Yeah.
But the rest of it was, well, I did believe in you guys, but only when you talked about this game. It's the Venn diagram of those two things. So I'm still trying to figure out how to be that digital missionary, right? That digital preacher, like, well, you believe in my cause, help me out, do more.
Yeah, I will say in Patreon specifically, I think it is different between authors and podcasters, and not totally, but with podcasters, I think a lot of people subscribe to podcasting Patreons for the either the bonus content or no ads or getting it a week early. They are
Yeah.
after it for something. Whereas people who support author Patreons, yeah, if you're someone who's doing this full time, and you're a big name, some people are absolutely following it for the benefits of like, oh, I get a bonus story every month. But like at my level, the people who follow my Patreon, for the most part, are doing it not off of what I'm putting on there, is they are just generally supportive of me as a person. And I think that's kind of the difference.
It is difficult, but so going back to that panel you and I talked about, you were on the one we bookended it, put Tyra in the middle. We had so much fun with that.
Yeah.
But it really struck me at that panel. I've been way too slowly working on the idea of that's what I have to sell. There's a couple people, but one gentleman in specific kept asking, how do I do this thing? How do I start my RSV? And you had some answers. Some other people had some answers. And I was thinking, man, that's what I sell right there at these panels, at these cons, on the back end of my shows. I think I'm one of the greatest teachers out there to help you get started. Something this morning where just take the basic steps. Just do this one little thing. And it's frustrating me that people aren't doing that. I don't have a quote about that specifically, but I have a quote that I do like. So here's your caffeination. Do the difficult things while they are easy, and do the great things while they are small. A journey of 1,000 miles must begin with a cup of coffee. That's Lao Tzu. L-A-O, Lao Tzu. So yeah, focus on your little things while they're little, because when things get big, it's the little things that'll kill you. Have a great coffee day. Because I love to have fun. I figure out how you work, how you what works for you, how your brain works, and then I can show you. It's almost a Latin. I can show you the way, and for very low cost. Like I can have a video series that's just generic. We can do some one-on-one time, and then of course, like that gentleman, he struck me as somebody who would never really make the time to build everything he needed.
Yeah.
Like he would go so far and he's just like, it's just too hard or whatever. You can either pay me or I'll network through, my other means and go, hey, you need somebody just to, like I don't remember everything you said about the show, but you record a show, it goes off to your producer. Cool. That's a great way to be. I would definitely produce a lot more content if I didn't have to edit and produce everything myself.
Right. Oh God.
But there's that and that all came to me right there at the table. Cause you're like, hey, I've got my books. I got my newsletter. You can find me here and here. Here's how you give me money. And I was just like, patreon.com/a-show that I'm not doing right now because you're at my other panel.
Well, I got to say though that one thing that I think you do really well is you have a personal brand. You are the rock god of podcasting, and while yes, on different podcasts you put forth maybe like a slightly different persona, at your core, it is still very much the Charles McFall brand. Like it is, you are you on whatever podcast you are. At least as far as I've experienced. It's one of those, if you had put all your eggs in the Pokemon Go basket, maybe, I think that there's an upper limit on that. You can only draw in people who are going to listen to a podcast about Pokemon Go, right? And there's an upper threshold on that. But if you can get people hooked on your brand, they're going to follow you to whatever you do within reason,
Right.
Or they'll at least check it out. And I know that's something that I have found with Booksbridge Booze. We're the absolute worst to our listeners. Like they get an episode at some point, and who knows what format it'll be in. But there's a core group of people that have just stuck around because they like what we do. They like our brand. As a creative, you are your brand.
Yeah.
Whatever form that takes. You do a good job establishing your brand. People will follow you from project to project until you find that one that, all right, this is my meal ticket, or or even if it's not your meal ticket, it's the podcast that makes you the most happy, or the style of art that makes you happiest to do. that's something we try and emphasize on here is success is different for everyone. Maybe people aren't trying to turn podcasting into a living, which, probably probably a good call for most people. It's hard out there. It can only help whatever project you decide to attach yourself to.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm very good at code switching, right? You go into the situation, you do your thing. But for the last, not the whole 5 years, I was at a desk, but at least the last two, especially the last year, it was very tough on me. I lost my way. I was trying to figure out what the boss wanted and make it, instead of being mean, doing it my way. It just and I communicate in such a very specific way. It's almost, I feel like it's unbelievable to people, because I will tell you the truth. I will not sugarcoat anything. I will tell you when I messed up. I'll tell you when I don't understand something. I'll tell you everything, and I expect the same back. And the reason I say I think it's unbelievable to people, because even after years of working with that same guy, towards the end, and we did not part badly. We parted fine. Well, we didn't even part. I just left that company, and he's funding me to do One EMS and pump him up because he believes in that. But there was a moment or two where white lies, but he lied to me. I was dealing with all that, and I was still going to cons. When I went to cons, it felt like a little bit of a fresh breath of air, right? And I could do my stuff, and now I was tired of the night going home. I wouldn't say depressed, but it was very stressed and compressed even. And now I've been out of that desk for a couple months now. I'm finally starting to feel like I'm breathing. I'm generating more content, because that was the other thing. It's like I need to build my own personal brand constantly and consistently, and I'm not. I'm doing Wise and Nerdy, which is part of my brand. I'm doing Be Awesome Together, which is part of my brand. And TikTok is worse than Beards, Booze, and Babes, or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
But because it's like, I'll do a video, and people will like it, and people will share it, and I'll go 2 months without doing a video. Yeah. It's like, how I build a better audience? Doing one to the next day, and the next day, and the next day. And I don't always, but I have. What is it about? I'm gonna throw this back to you, Bob. What is it about human creators that we hit something that's so clearly the path to success? As in, people are liking what I'm doing, they're asking for more of what I'm doing, but we just go, I don't know, and then we take the easier, darker, more depressed path.
I think for some people there's psychology at work here of, you see that like, oh, this is what people want. They're hungry for it. Oh, they want it. And I think there's kind of two things at play. One, with me, what ends up happening is I put a lot of false pressure on myself.
Yeah, sure.
It's so weird. Like at work, I do not crumple under pressure. I am a solid go-to guy. But when it's on my own business where I am the world's leading expert, there's no one who knows Tales by Bob better than me.
Right.
I just take on, I will put this false load of pressure on myself and crumple. Where if I was at work and my boss put that load of stress on me, I might come home and want to cry into my pillow, but at work, I'm going to get it done. So I think that's part of it. But the other part is I think people are scared. There's fear there. There's either fear that they will succeed and it's not going to be what they thought it was, or it's fear that, man, what if, even if I do this, I still don't succeed? It's self-sabotage rather than risk. Okay, this is the thing that looks like it's the shortcut to success, and if I take it and it doesn't happen, then oh my God, So I don't.
Okay.
Yeah.
To that point, so that's where I lost my way a little bit, because I don't have fear. I've always, not always, but for a long time, it's like, I'm Daredevil, man. I'm the man without fear. They don't call him that anymore, but that was my Batfleck Daredevil, and I loved it. So I went in to that desk job with ideas. I'd been in EMS at that point for 20 some odd years, and I'd always said, this is what's wrong. This is how you fix it. This all those, and I had the clear cut. The universe dropped the opportunity right in my lap that says, put up or shut up.
Yeah.
And I knew, it's one of the rare moments in life. I knew if I walk away from this, it's because I just don't believe in myself.
Yeah.
The end of the story. So I jumped in with both feet. And at the time, it actually brought me more money. It continued to bring me more money for a while. The economy shifted, so that money didn't mean crap. But, it was, on paper, it was nice. It was nice. And I was successful for at least the first 3 years. And because my deal was, when I say it this way, I don't mean age. I really mean, I'm being polite and saying I don't have time for bullshit. But I said, I am too old in this business to not do it my way. Yeah. If I'm going to be here, I got to do it my way. But I'm not the end all be all for everybody. So if we just can't get on the same page or we get too far apart, shake hands, thanks for the opportunity, move on. And he said, deal. And if on my side of it, if we get too far apart, train your replacement. Done. And for 3 years, that's how we operated. Where I messed up was not being afraid I was going to be successful, but not sticking to my word. And when we started getting too far off the path, I just followed him because, again, I'm very influential. I like lo mein noodles because I watched The Matrix, and there's a throwaway scene where he goes, I remember that place, nice noodles. And I went, I've never tried Chinese noodles, and I eat them to this day. I'm very impressionable, man. And it is great to have people around you who will not be afraid to be in your ear and tell you you're losing your way. So I think there's creatives that, yes, fear is a big thing. And what if I'm successful? What if it's not? Well, for me, what if it's not? It's the part I lost. Who gives a crap? If I'm not being me, why do I want to work here? Yeah. But the thing is, it's like the lobster in the pot. The heat gets turned up. You get compressed slowly but surely. And then hopefully you wake up, which I did, because things were going wrong. It just was not the path for me anymore. Yeah. He realized it. I realized it. We figured out a way out of it that was safe for the company and for me and for him. And we did well together on that. But that was a very rare thing. It could have easily I should have, in worst case scenario, I should have just said, I'm sorry, it's not for me. I'll sell my motorcycle. I'll sell my kidney, whatever I got to sell. And I'll go back on the hustle because I was the happiest. When I say hustle, man, I'm not kidding. I'm driving Lyft, and then I'm doing trivia, and then I'm picking up this random gig and this gig. And my wife, for a year, we had kids old enough that they would do play dates and stuff, and the other moms go, oh, what does your husband do? And she would just be so frustrated. She goes, I don't know. He tells people to pay him, and they do. And I thought that was the greatest thing you could ever say.
Yeah.
I just tell people, but I was the happiest I could be. Mm-hmm. But it's the most unstable for her because she never knew where the money was coming. So I wanted stability. All that being said, I have friends who who probably never go to a con like you do, never have a nice rack like you have. Okay, that sounded bad. A nice book rack like you have behind you, very well displayed. They sell online, but they're doing it for the love of it. And God bless them. I know if the opportunity came along, they'd love to sell books, but that whole putting that work to build that business, it would take away all the joy out of what they do.
Yeah.
And you should never do that. Don't rob yourself of the joy of what you're creating.
Yeah. And I'll say this, I think outside of our day jobs, we are the boss at all times. We're running everything. So when we sometimes going to work is relaxing because there's someone else calling the shots, in my little fiefdom, I do call the shots to a degree, but at the end of the day, the buck does not stop with me at the agency I work at. But it tells my Bob, if I don't do it, it's not getting done, And so it is, sometimes it's easier to just, you know what, if I was running this agency, we'd be doing it different. But guess what? I'm not. So I'm just going to let it ride. And I don't feel like I have to push back on this. And I suspect a lot of creative types probably fall into that. I don't want to say it's necessarily a trap. It's only a trap if it causes you to violate your morals or you know.
Yeah. But there is man. Okay, I grew up in the Baptist church, so we were always taught the devil's always trying to get you, man. It's the man in the white van with the candy. They tried. Oh, look, the devil will give you something tempting, and it took me forever to get past that. Going, no, it was tempting, maybe because it's good for me.
Yeah.
But the trap is the complacency. I was the most hungry when I had a job that I was bored at, which is honestly, if I'm going to have a job, that's what I need. I need a job that I'm bored at. It's so simple to give you what you want and more that makes you happy that you're going to pay me. So then I can do what I love. And I kind of have that now. When you're if I understand it right, I just learned the other day, maybe I missed it when you said it, you have a 501c3.
I do. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Much,
It's all
much,
about
much smaller.
special ed needs in golf or something.
Yeah, the tax form that you just filled out. You
Yeah.
probably filled that out because y'all actually take in money.
Well, we
Um,
haven't yet, but I needed it to get more money because some places require that if you're asking them
yeah,
for money.
me, our nonprofit can file what they call a postcard tax filing.
Yes.
Yeah, it's the Hilltop Howlers is my. For those who haven't heard me talk about it before, it supports art, culture, and music in Montgomery, Alabama, and it's essentially just me. And I have friends that help out like for live events, but for the most part, it's just me doing stuff in the background, kind of quietly trying to help the scene. So because of that, it doesn't really require any money. So
Hey,
we
but if you get something, it's tax free and you can use it.
well,
And
yeah, like we have a little money in the kitty just so we can like buy event licenses if we want to throw an event, but we typically earn that money back in like charging like a vendor fee.
Sure.
Like if we do a pop-up market, we just at cost split the event license among everyone evenly. So we don't end up losing any money and they get to take part in an event for like $10, which for me at conventions where I routinely pay like $400 for vendor space. Yeah, $10. I don't feel bad about charging someone $10. um,
Yeah,
so,
I get you. And well, if you were to try to raise money, there's two ways to go about it. As far as just grants and endowments and whatever. One is to do what we did, which we hired a grant writer, and she understood who we were. She asked all these questions. She put together information, gave her feedback, and we have this 29-page document guiding us on how to go get money. And if they ask for this, here you go to this section, you copy and paste.
yeah.
Here's how you do the letters, all this stuff, right? And Brian was like, how about we pay you to do that? Because he needs to do what he's good at, talking about me. And I'm good at talking to people and kissing babies and shaking hands and selling you on the mission right here and now, and social media and all that other stuff. And so fortunately, I have a professional sugar daddy, if you will, that is paying for that because she's doing all the heavy lifting. But that stuff takes 9 to 18 months. And I'm doing the ones that take 4 to 6 weeks and doing these little ones. And so I have a job to where I can sit down, rack out 3 or 4 of those in a day and edit podcasts, or I can learn something, or I can, find another connection, put together that newsletter. And this other thing that's medical, and it's legit medical world stuff. That's why I made a joke about Amway or, whatever you want to fill in the gap of somebody. So it's not a multi-level marketing thing at all. It's got a lot of great potential. I'm new to sales. But other than that, that's where it's like passive income, right? If I can sign up one doctor a week, because I don't need a ton of money, and I'll slowly get off of the endowment of one EMS, and that money can go straight anyway. Yeah, it's a thing that we all have to struggle with as creators. And when we talk about that dead end job, I had a guy who really, he was on the verge of being amazing because he really had this special path that he took through the military and through his life, and he really wanted to help people in a certain way. I don't remember which way it was now, but he was cut out for it. And I was like, dude, you need to be like a warehouse guard. Use something that will pay your bills, that you're sit there bored all day, write your book. Mm-hmm. And you're going to sit there for 8 hours getting paid to write your book. Yeah. And that's what I talk about, that babysitting job, that placeholding job of, if you have to do a little bit of function, but you get paid for it, as long as you always clear it ahead of time. That's how I built my podcasting empire. Is I cleared out, I had to do 18 reports a day. I cleared in 10 hours. I cleared out 22 to 23 reports a day in about 4 to 5 hours. And I spent that rest of the time editing, recording, producing, sitting there and answering the phone for the company, because that's part of my job. And I outperformed everybody. So they were super happy. Yeah. They didn't care that basically I goofed off for 6 hours. Yeah. Not everybody's fortunate to do that. But when you have what we talked about, that stressful job, making that time can be difficult, because I got to a point, Rock got podcasting. I do think in terms of Godhood sometimes. Like, I love to do worship. Yeah. And I got a point, put out a video, boom, getting worship. And then I would just not put out. Why is it not my crack? Why is it not man, I got to get that like hit today? It's just not in me.
Yeah.
But by God, you come up and talk to me at a con, you laugh at a joke, we're going to keep going for an
Yeah.
hour.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's just the way some people are wired, like I do much better, I feel, at selling my books in person than digitally. And that's because kind of the same thing is like I have absolutely made, internet friends over the years. And like I have fans of my books I've only ever engaged online with. But most of my like core, like really dedicated fans are folks that I've met at a con, made an effort to get to know them a little bit. Like there's one a convention we do, Conjuration. There's a guy there named Chris who not the guy who runs it, Chris,
Not
but
second grade.
yeah, another guy named Chris there who I've met him there, and he's become a huge fan of my books. In fact, like, make sure I'm not revealing his address, but he sent me a little bit of like fan mail the other day. With
Nice.
he went to a state park in Alabama and picked up a sticker. I was like, "Hey man, I was in Alabama, went to the state park. Thought you'd like this sticker." I was like, "Yes, I absolutely would. I would love that sticker." But I would never have been able to make a connection like that with him digitally.
Yeah.
Like I guess it's what it comes down to is if I make a post online, yeah, odds are it will be favorably received by someone. Very rarely have I ever posted anything that people got up in arms about. But there is always that little bit of lingering. Is this going to be the thing? Am I going to inadvertently say the thing? Didn't even realize it, but this is why I'm canceled, But like in person, I have a lot more confidence in how I come across in person. So
Yeah.
there's a lot less stress. Weirdly, a lot less stress dealing with people in real life than digitally.
Yeah. And watching your style, you've told the story, but I've actually got to see it in person where somebody comes up and says, "Hey, so what's your book's about?" And it's Dresden on meth, and somebody kind of gets that face, so, "Well, what do you like?" And they'll tell you, "Oh, well, there's that author over here." Because you realize, just like I have, just like hopefully most good creators have, you cannot serve everybody.
Yeah.
And there's so many different tastes, and just telling somebody, "Hey, here's how I can connect you to something cool that you'll like," leaves an impression on them that maybe when somebody says, "Man, I wish I had a book about meth head wizards," like, wait a minute, there's that guy, Bob. Tell us about Bob. He told me, yeah, and I've had some success that way. What's boggling my mind right now, I hate your show now because this is not an interview I've never done before because you're making me think about things, is in the early days, literally had no fear, never thought I couldn't do anything. Started out podcasting to a wall and immediately was asking for postcards and said, "Hey man, you find a postcard." This is before your postage was insane.
Yeah.
But send it in. And then on my first show, Bear Crawling Nation, and that one probably ran the longest. I stopped at 298 just because I'm chaotic like that. They're like, "You can't get to 300." I went, "Nope, we're out, buddy."
Wow.
298 done. But and there were 3-hour episodes, so they had plenty of content.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. But I had a wall, not a full wall, but I had 30 postcards from strangers taped to the wall as my background.
Yeah.
And people, we were 2 years in, I hit my 100th episode. Yes, about 2-ish years because I did one every week, and hit my 100th episode. People flew in from all over the United States. I mean, not a ton of people, but this couple took their vacation, came in. This dude drove down. Somebody drove up from Florida. I had probably 40 or 50 people in my house that only knew about 10 of them.
Yeah.
And my wife's like, at that point, because she'd been trying to figure out what podcasting was, and she saw the people. Was like, "I still don't know what podcasting is, but obviously you're doing something."
Yeah.
And I was like, but then I'll find that I'm sitting here going, how do I get some more money for Wise and Nerdy?
Yeah.
It's like, well, maybe I should time travel and talk to my younger self and now and tell me to shut the fuck up and just do something.
Yeah. Yeah. I think what something that's kind of been surprising to me over as I've been doing this for the past few years is there really is a silent majority of people who are engaging with your content that are really big fans and never indicate it in any way. And then every so often, those people will just surprise the hell out of you. Like, especially if I do an event in Alabama, outside of my hometown because those events always tend to go poorly. But
They did for Jesus too. Don't feel
right,
bad.
yeah, when like I did an event in Huntsville and someone came up and said, "Oh yeah, I went to an event in Birmingham that you were there. I was taught a workshop. It's like I was in the crowd in that workshop, and I saw that you were going to be here, so I decided to drive up." And like, it's like Birmingham to Huntsville is not like driving to California, but it's hour and a half, 2 hour drive. And someone's like, "Oh, I saw you were going to be at a convention within 2 hours of me, so I drove to come say hi and say thanks because I liked that podcast." And in my head, it's like, you could have just sent an email,
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but like that person I had no idea that they got any value of anything that I'd ever done. And then until one day they just show up at the booth and like, "Oh, hey." I think we both need to just kind of wake up to the fact that there are probably lots of people out there that would love to give us money. We just got to keep reminding them. So make it easy and remind them.
I've thought of different ways. I've listened different ways that people say, "Here's how you can support the show." TV's Travis, says, if you'd like to see more of me at cons and you want to be a bigger part of the show, you can do it. Daily Tech News Show talks about what you get for it. And I think I tried to leave the asshole in me behind many years ago. And there was a lot of refining that I had to learn in a different aspect of life I had to learn. But I think I'm coming back to myself that nobody's ever read it. If you've read this, you'll be my bestest creative friend ever. Because nobody's ever read this, but I read the crap out of Bloom County.
Bloom County.
Bloom County. Yeah. Okay. Not that.
Okay.
You're not the bestest yet. It's a specific storyline where, do you remember Steve in Bloom County?
Yeah.
The misogynist ladies. Yeah.
Yeah.
And at one point, he started dating Layla or something like that, and she was everybody for reference. This was in the 80s and 90s, right?
Yeah.
So he's very great subtle commentary on misogynist and then the extremes of feminism and this and that and other. Well, he started dating this girl and he started wearing like pastel, which you couldn't tell because it's black and white in the papers, but they said it was pastel colors, and put on the collar, shirt, and all this other stuff. And he just became not Steve for a while. And there's this storyline, this and another. But the comic strip that is burned in my brain, I cannot find it. It's in one of the books I have packed up here. But she breaks up with him. Something else happens in his life. And he said he was a chain smoker, all this stuff. And he's like, going through the depression or whatever. And the characters are talking to him. And then he says, you see his hand come from out front. He was given to me.
Is it the sunglasses?
It's the sunglasses.
Yes.
Oh,
yes. Yeah. He puts the aviators on.
He puts them back on and he's immediately got a cigarette in his mouth. And he's back. And now he wasn't. I don't want to be Steve, but that's how I feel. It's like I got to put on my metaphorical aviators, because while I needed some refinement, so I didn't just crush people, because I was brutal in some of my commentary on people. I needed to find a better way for those who can listen. I don't need to soften it up so much I'm afraid to get canceled.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to be the asshole with a heart, which in my new logo that's coming out for Wise and Nerdy, which I'm adopting that separately to make an enamel pin. My jersey has flame, like hearts that are on fire. They're like the manliest heart you'll ever see. Like, that's it, man.
Yeah.
The asshole with a heart. And that's where I'm coming to with telling people now, and I'm getting more in the habit of, like, when on Wise and Nerdy, we do commercial break, and I'm like, tell your friends, tell your enemies. I'm not asking. If you want to be in the daddios, you need to tell people who we are.
Yeah.
And I give people grief for not showing up and not talking about it. And I don't know, it hasn't quite worked yet, but that's where I feel better. Because I'm not like, that whole, hey, man, if you like what I do, it doesn't work. How do you come back to yourself where you were successful? Because I've never understood the path of what I perceive yours to be. I worked on something, I had an idea, wrote a book. I'm presuming you're self-published, but you got hard copies, so you earned some money somewhere. That takes money to do that. Yeah. But and then I found that, and I've just built brick by brick. And I'm like, gods don't build; we just show up. So I'm not sure what the hell I'm supposed to do now.
There you go. There you go. I feel like that just needs to be your motto there.
Gods don't build; I just show up.
Just show up. I love that.
Right, dude, it drives everybody crazy.
Yeah,
we did Be Awesome together at Stellar Fest, and like the night before, Tyra's all stressed because she's a planner.
Yeah.
And I know in authorship, there's planners and there's pantsers. And I'm going to make a little blue jeans Panzer tank to put out whenever I say this pantser, because that's all I'm thinking about.
Yeah.
This denim tank. But I'm neither. I just show up.
Yeah.
Because she's like, well, do we have a plan? I'm like, yeah, we're going to talk. About what? I'm like, we'll talk about streaming and stuff. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
And she's, she just kind of gave up. I'm like, and it was perfect. We just,
yeah. And sometimes, like, y'all are very much polar opposites when it comes to having been on panels and podcasts with both of y'all. Polar opposites, but it works. It works really well. And I do something kind of similar on Books, Beards, Booze. I will frequently just not tell my co-host Derek what we're going to talk about, and it drives him to the wall. It's like, I'm not going to do anything. I'm not going to just pick some topic you couldn't talk about. Like I know you well enough. Just trust me. But it's going to be more fun if we go off the cuff with it, and you don't think about it too much. So
you got to trust the process, and in most cases, I am the process. So
yeah.
But that comes down to being who you are, right?
Yeah.
I could not sell my own products at a table like you sell your products. I've watched you. That part's not in me, but I could show you what I can do on a stage and tell you. You can't be like me, but I could tell you how to do these other things to be like you. And now I've got to go in after the show and start a Patreon for myself, start building those classes, find out ways to. That's the ultimate kind of coming around full circle to what we start talking about with numbers and earning money. It's not always from the exact thing you're crafting.
Yeah.
I don't know if you'd want to do this. I don't know if this is like your dream thing, but I could see a path where Jim Butcher taps you to take on the Dresden Files because he's done.
Yeah.
That something along the.
Yeah.
You want your own works to succeed, but is that not your own work succeeding by taking on a mantle of somebody else? Brandon
Sanderson.
Sanderson, Joe talks about him all the time and how that worked. And I think that's more aligned in the authorship and in TV, right? I watch Daily Show. It was with Jon Stewart and then Noah Trevor, and now it's 5 of them. And I really watched the clips on TikTok, so I don't have time, but. But that's the thing is it gets handed off, it gets tagged, and that just hasn't really happened yet in podcasting.
Yeah.
But it won't if you're not who you are. And exactly. I'm preaching to myself mostly there.
No. I agree. I think we will start seeing more of that as time goes by, of people building IP empires and passing them on. I would not be surprised if George R. R. Martin ends up. He won't hand it off while he's alive. He still thinks he's going to finish it, but I wouldn't be surprised if, if upon his death he hands it off. I can't remember the guy's. Well, James S.A. Corey, he writes The Expanse. Is actually, It's actually 2 authors, and one of those authors is like George R. R. Martin's right-hand guy on like keeping the lore straight. So he's got the perfect person to come take it over. I did a blog about this where all these ways you can define success, and this is not how I define success, but what I really wish is that 100 years from now people are talking about my books. That may mean that I'm not the guy who got it to that point. If I get it to a point and then someone comes along upon my death, or I just old and crotchety and just want to hang out in bars at conventions and not actually write books, and then maybe I do hand it off to someone, and they're the one that blow up, and then I just curse their name.
Keep your royalties.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand. So, in a corporate world sense, I built that ambulance company hand in hand with the owner. And we proved that my ideas worked, which is all I needed. It gave me huge credibility in the world of EMS to then do this charity that's going to ask a lot of people, and it's going to smack old people down. I mean, old being the ones that are stuck in their ways, and bring up new ways that scare people. But I earned that credibility in doing that. But even when I wanted to leave, and it was partially the way it was done, it was just not communicated well to me. But even in stepping away, and the right guy was there at the right time, and I'm still mentoring him and helping him out. And immediately he turned some simple things around and got overtime down and got some profitability up, I hurt my own feelings.
Yeah. All right. So is podcasting, is that the end goal for you? Is you want to be like, you want to sign that Rogan Spotify deal, or is it for you more you just, as long as you're doing your thing, you don't care necessarily that it becomes your full-time career? Or where are you at on that?
I don't talk about this very much. I had a vision when I was 12. And by vision, I mean like a dream that I woke up from. I still remember it to this day. And I remember telling my mom about it. It just hit so different. And at 12, I didn't know how to communicate. And I'll tell you how I communicated. But the vision it's kind of like a camera shot from behind me, right? And I'm on a stage, and it's just sold out arena, and everybody's there for me and my thing. And at 12, and then at 12, I'm the late 80s, early 90s, right? So born in 77, so y'all can do the math. All I could picture of getting to that stage and that kind of position, that kind of arena, was a rock and roll musician, hence rock kind of podcasting.
Yeah.
So I worked on music, and I worked on my attitude, and I worked on writing and this, and that, and the other. I communicated to my mom coming off that dream, because it wasn't a dream. I mean, like I said, I can remember it to this day. It was just this vision. And I told her, it's like, and in the most in the most humble, unegotistical way a 12-year-old could even have, I told her, so I'm destined for greatness. And she goes, and she was all shot. She's a big church lady. She thought I was being egotistical. What does that mean? I'm like, I don't know. And I tried to explain the dream, but it is what it is. And of course, I've developed my story. I've had however X many years to work on describing it. So to answer you, I want to be Tony Robbins meets Joe Rogan. I want to be the guy that people want to listen to. And if that's on a show, that's great. But I definitely love the stage. I love the stage. I love being in front of people. I love playing to the audience. I love touching lives. And that is my end all be all. I would love to travel the world, but have a whatever, hire me to speak at a corporate event, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Come in, do my TED talk, do my comedy, do my whatever. And I'm changing your world for the better. And I do that at least twice a month. And in the meantime, I'm on shows like that. I was born to talk and entertain. And so if I'm getting paid to do a show like Wise and Nerdy, that is a beautiful thing. And if I'm getting paid to go to a conference and tell people about 1EMS, that's exactly it. I haven't hit that level of stage yet. But even lecturing, I believe you've guest lectured for Tyra.
Yeah.
To go into that room, and I know you do yours remote, but to go into that room and talk to kids and just do what I do, right? And explain storytelling or explain podcasting or finding your voice, and to watch them either constantly type or writing down a book. The first time I lectured, I have no idea what's that. I was just do it, chucking and jiving. And I see him writing a book, and there's everything in me to not go, show me your book. I don't know what the hell you just wrote down.
Yeah.
What I said, it was so amazing that you were, but just seeing that result, and you're talking about somebody coming up to you and saying, I finally got that this year, actually. And I've had one or two shows like, hey, I've listened to your show. I'm here at DragonCon, cool, that kind of thing. But this one was one of those things where they were in an audience. I did something that, from my perspective, I didn't do anything. And it changed them. And then I got to meet them a year later, and they referenced it and how amazing I was. But it was at DragonCon, Anson Mount from Star Trek Strange New Worlds. He's Captain Pike. He has a podcast, and he wanted to record an episode of his podcast. So I'm the producer on that show, not literally, but for DragonCon. Okay, I'll bring my stuff to the table. I will make sure you got clean recordings, multi-track. You both sound good. Help set the stage. So I'm off to the side. For me, that's it. I'm the goon, if you will. I'm the henchman. But because there was time to kill and people were filling the room, I just started talking to them and asking them questions. And I guess I did it on both, but I guess it was the first one because there's more interaction there where people were asking stuff and I'm explaining and say he'll come out in a minute and this and that and the other. Just warming the crowd up, if you will. A year later, the person I talked to she was in the audience, and actually she invited me to talk to her class. So I'm teaching podcasting virtually for her class. And she's like, oh yeah, you were so amazing moderating that. You were so great on stage with Anson. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I sat to the side and hit a button. But yeah, it's that you did something. That's end all be all.
Yeah.
Yes, I need that to be my living, whatever that in cases. But to be able to talk and say something to the masses. My dad was a preacher. He kind of wanted me to be a preacher, but this is the only way I could do it. I'm not going to preach the Bible, those kind of things, but I am going to tell you how to fix your life, or at least how I fixed my life. And I need to tell the world.
Yeah.
And all that can listen, it'll change their lives. And however that comes about, that's where I want to be.
Yeah, I really like that. There's kind of I have a cautionary tale. So the thing I really like about that is
Bob?
No, not about me for once. I mean, my life is largely a cautionary tale, but this one's not about me. But I'll say the cool thing is, like, you had that vision and you have pursued it. I can see all the moves that you are constantly making to get you closer to that. I had a good friend for a long time that he had kind of a similar vision, that he was going to basically become an actor. He had done some small parts in like local films kind of deal, but like nothing like Hollywood. But he's like, no, this is in my 30s is like, that's my decade. That's when I blow up. I will become a big successful actor in my 30s. And he was so convinced of it, he didn't really do anything to make it happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And he's older than me, and I turned 40 next month. And spoiler, he's not a big actor. And so he's done like a couple more small parts in, kind of local productions, and that's been it. And I think he's got I think he had the chops that if he, I don't know that he could ever blown up. That's a, Hollywood star is a big ask, but
it is, right?
But he damn sure wasn't going to get there getting drunk with me on Thursdays, us splitting a bottle of Heaven Hill every Thursday. That was not going to get him there, And I hated that for him, because it's like, I think you could have if you weren't so like just locked. Oh, it's absolutely going to happen. It's like, maybe it will, maybe it won't, but. One of my favorite sayings, I'm not very religious, but one of my favorite sayings is God helps those who help themselves, you know? And like, you got to put forth a little effort when it comes to fate, you got to meet fate halfway. All right. So you said that you are going to be starting a new podcast here soonish in the medical EMS space. Do you have any other projects that you're looking at? I feel like starting a big 501(c) is kind of a lot right now, so probably not taking on too many other creative tasks. But do you have anything else you might be like? Are you gonna maybe work on that book a little bit? Huh? Nudge, nudge.
Maybe, because you gave some great advice on it. I actually have been afraid to go back and reread what I wrote for the longest time, because I have two books. I mean, that one came from. This is why I'm impressionable, because it's like, why not? I didn't think about trying it. Let me try it. And my buddy, who calls himself an author, you can call yourself what you will. My belief is you don't have to be published to be an author, but an author writes. And you may never show the world your journals, but you got journals or Word docs or whatever. Yeah. He's been working on a novel for probably 20 years now. And that's as far as he's gotten. Is just working on that one novel. I don't know how far he's into it, but he was like, yeah. We were doing Success Freaks and talking about our path to success and how where we feel successful now, where we came from, differing ideas, differing worldviews, blah, 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 blah. And he's like, man, we should write a joint book. I was like, that sounds dumb to me. I know better now, but I was like, we had been trying to throw everything at the wall that we could, because he was right. It's like he had built another company based on media. It's live action comedy that he does at festivals. And then they had a blog they did every month for their fan club and little videos. And so he knew what it took to build that fandom up. So I was following him on it. So we started writing blogs for, I don't know if we had it for our Patreon or whatever it was at the time, or if we put it out public. But I had to do one a month and I had a due date. And so not gonna lie about it. My wife was stressing a lot at the time. Her mom was couldn't. It was an issue with her mom's health, but she's still working. So she would go to bed about 9:30 at night, because she's getting up at 5 to go pick up her mom and take her to work or whatever. And so I'd go lay in the bed with her, put her to sleep, get up, and light up a bowl and just go see Jesus for a minute and just start typing.
Yeah.
And then I'd send it to our person who was editing them, and she didn't do much editing. I mean, apparently I'm fairly coherent no matter what state of mind I'm in. But I always write. That's the one thing about me. I do everything like who I am. I talk, I write. Everything is who you, it just comes from me. So writing a novel would never be my cup of tea, because I'm not going to find other people's voices and format and this and that. Other. He's like, hey, why don't we take our blog posts and turn them into a book and see if we can sell the book? I'm like, cool, let's do that. And there was other editing and things that went on, and we ended up publishing through Amazon. But I never really considered that too much writing. And I also remember the angst that I had still then. But then the feedback you gave was interesting about telling the stories from the moments in time. That is something I could do. I just, again, it's about making, everything is now and only now. Man, there's days when I work myself so hard, and then I feel like I don't.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, why am I so tired? I'm like, well, because I haven't taken a day off in 2 months.
Yeah.
Like I do something every Sunday morning, and then Sunday afternoon I'm usually with the family, and Saturdays I'm editing, and then maybe doing that. Lack of inspiration, right? But it really was lack of energy. So I would love, well, one, yes, I am going to really start working on those videos of here's how to, here's the easy way to set up this, here's the easy way to do that, here's this tool that I've used, and just do little one-offs and help build some there and try to build that. I would love to actually start writing, because when you get in that creative zone, let me ask you this, if you feel this way.
Yeah.
Back before I got the last desk job, I felt like when I got in that creative zone, time stopped. I could get in and I could write 4 chapters of this book, and then it's lunchtime, and then I could produce 5 episodes and record 3 more, and then, man, it's only like 4 o'clock. I'm gonna play my video game for a couple hours before I go in for dinner.
Yeah.
Do you feel that way?
Oh yeah. When you're firing on all cylinders creatively, like, it just feels so good, because like, I just wrote 1,000 words. It felt like it was nothing. I've had kind of a first part of this year. If it wasn't a blog post, I bet you from January to about 2 weeks ago, I wrote maybe 1,000 words. Which for me is
total,
essentially nothing.
Yeah.
But it's like, and there's a host of reasons that I think kind of fed into that. And I changed some things. I got my new office set up. I think that was weird thing about me, right? Is if something is not right, it gums me up. And like, I'm not OCD, I'm not autistic, but there's an element there in me that's like, well, I'm changing offices. I'm moving offices from this room of the house to this room of the house, and I can see where I'm going, but I can't move. I can't move my desk until we get that room cleaned out. I can't get that room cleaned out until I have cleaned out our storage shed. I can't clean out our storage shed till I can take a couple trips to the dump, and I can't do any of that till we get, we have a guest coming in 2 weeks, and I can't start the process until so it was literally weeks of, I can tell it's not right. Like, I can see that will be what's right.
Yeah.
And it gummed me up. And like now, like I said, like 2 weekends ago, I got everything moved. I'm in, and words are flowing again. And it's like, sometimes things just got to be right.
Yeah. And sometimes you got to make them right. The way I had my studio set up before, and I got tired of being at the desk with that tight shot. It's fun, but it's just not my next evolution of where I wanted to be. And it's one of the signs of that compression was, man, I had so much crap piled up in the studio, and so much that it was just depressing. But I had like a path to my desk. Like, I'll fix it. And I finally brought my daughter out here, because sometimes it helps to have somebody, even if they don't do a whole lot, they're there to help you, and you're using them as a catalyst. It just got my enough stuff moved out of the way, got my desk moved, and got some stuff thrown up into the lofts, and that was then day or two later worked with the phone and the tripod and the day or two. And now I feel, even though there's still some stuff in the peripheral that, okay, I clean that up. I really need to inventory that stuff, blah, blah, blah. I feel much better.
Yeah.
And it's starting to flow. But one of the songs that hit me at the wrong time, I was just going to look it up. It's called Adrenaline by the band's called 0936. And it's like a time, 9:36. And I don't know how it came across my Spotify, but I was driving home and it popped up, and just the words of, it starts off, it's a very interesting musical concept because almost kind of emo, where it's this quiet stuff, but then it gets hardcore. I'm not just emo loud, but hardcore loud. Then he raps in the middle of it. I'm like, this is everything about me, man. This music is chaos, and I love it. And it just flows. It just works. But the initial lyrics are, all my life I drowned in adrenaline. Now my blood flows like it's full of sedatives. And he builds up to the chorus is like, I don't want to lay down. I want to get the fuck back up. I don't want to lay down. Please help me get back up. And I'm like, tears.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm just saying, I've never heard this song. I'm just singing along with it. Like, oh my God. It was that moment I realized I was decompressing from where I'd let myself. But that's the thing. You talked about music, how you'll put on some music sometimes and it'll get you writing. I have to find those habits to be creative, but I'm starting to find, I keep using that decompression. I know it's the part of life I'm coming out of, but I feel like maybe somebody listening, watching, you go through that. You go through, I mean, behind Bob, you've got at least 6 books I can kind of see behind you. Yeah. And you're talking about writing for months, only writing 1,000 words. Well, something's off. Something's wrong, right? You get, and you'll feel that in yourself. I just don't stop to ask why. So the best piece of advice I can give anybody that I don't take myself is, when you notice something's off, ask why this is different.
Yeah. And
maybe it'll help stay true to yourself. Because then I could have at least made informed decisions on, oh, I put too much of myself in this job. I'm trying too much to be like him. I need to be clear about, hey, I don't want to do that. I think the way you're doing that is wrong. I'm going to do it over here, or you can give it to someone else to do. Yeah. You know, and have no guilt. 'Cause I am the Catholic of the South, man. I'm a Baptist. And not really. I don't buy into any of that crap anymore, but that guilt that I was taught, you know, it's almost like you spill the soda, and every time you clean up a mess, you move a desk. Like, wait, how'd soda get behind the desk?
Right.
For me, I do worry about, I think you made jokes about saying some things and getting canceled or whatever. Yeah. I do worry about, I take on other people's problems when I shouldn't. And I have to practice this mantra of, why do I give a fuck? Why do I do play that Childish Gambino song a lot. Nobody gives a fuck. Yeah. Like, because that's the truth of the world. Like, everything he's saying in that song is like, but who cares? I left that job. Yeah, people were sad. Job goes on.
Yeah.
Nobody gives a fuck. Maybe they miss me a little bit, but it's the new world. It doesn't matter what I've done differently. It is the new world. Yeah. Even to the point with my wife that, I mean, we've gone through some shit, and she has made it clear that I'm it. Like, if anything were ever happen to our marriage, she'd never remarry. And we've gone through some stuff where it hurt the relationship, but it built the relationship. Yeah. And even to today, I asked her, I was like, hey, I'm coming back to the house. You want anything? She's like, no. Well, I did. I wanted Taco Bell. So I went to Taco Bell, got me some lunch, came back. He's like, what's that? I'm like, Taco Bell. I offered you. You didn't say you were going to Taco Bell. It's like, I asked you if you wanted anything. So, well, I wouldn't have been that. I just didn't want to make you stop. I was like, well, that's a you decision. Yeah. And that was a very practical, kind, and funny way to practice. I don't give a fuck. Yeah. I asked you. You said no. But there would have been a time when I would have felt guilty. I would have said, I'll go get you something. I would have caused a problem because of taking on my. She wasn't really mad. Yeah. She was just like, well, and I'm like, but that's you. As creatives, I believe we take on a lot of that, 'cause we want the people to like our book. We want the people to like our shows. We want the people to like what we do. But honestly, if I don't have a hater, I'm not doing my job right.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I will say that I almost feel like people like jobs, stuff like that. Like, I mean, how many coworkers have you had that you're just like, wow, they're not my coworker anymore, and I just don't care,
right?
You know? Like after the initial like week of, okay, you reach that new equilibrium, and it doesn't matter. But I almost feel like creative output is the exception to that, because I feel like people do get more invested in that, like almost to a weird degree. Like fundamentally, I don't think they give a fuck about me. Like I have a brand and that's a thing, but like there are people who really like my books, and I feel like they would be much more upset if my books went away than if I went away. You know?
But that to them that is you, right? To a point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there were people who were really upset that Pokemon Go podcast went away.
Yeah.
But we're here. We didn't die.
Yeah.
We didn't leave. We're just doing something that was different. And I had to, honestly, that helped a lot to come to terms with just watching the numbers, just wondering when they were going to plateau.
Yeah.
And they slowly plateaued because they actually dropped about 500, and it took another year for it to drop down to about 200.
Yeah.
But as we went through that year, we refined who we are, what we do. And we played that show live at Chattacon with Tyra was our guest and 4 people in the room.
Yeah.
And we played it like it was 100 people because they were interacting. That's all you need. So all I need is one person to show up and interact, and I'm golden.
Yeah.
The panel that me and Ben and Tyra did, where one person
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've done many a panel to 1, 2, or 3 people. You just never know. And because that's the thing, your next panel, like at 2 conjurations ago, I literally exact same panel room. It was all the sorting panels.
Yeah.
I did a panel in there that no one came. Like
really,
no one came to it. It was sorting the demigods of Elden Ring. It wasn't I didn't suggest it, but I was like, oh, I've played that game. I could talk about that. No one came, and I could have really beat myself up about that. But if it wasn't that night, it was the next night. A panel that I suggested was Cryptids of the Southeast. Same room, and it set the record for that weekend. Like we had people it was standing room only in that room for that panel. So it's like you just never know. Someday feast, someday famine. But if you keep doing it long enough, there'll be more feasts than famines.
I agree. And you did you're like, oh, I played Elden Ring. I can talk on that. I jumped on to a few sorting panels. I'm not big on Harry Potter. I had to sneakily look up which house is what so I could kind of have my cheat sheet. Yeah. And I got on this one where it's like, I've watched, now they're into their 8th season. I've watched a season and a half of My Hero Academia, which is an anime. I could help sort that because I knew my whole brand of humor is to antagonize somebody in a fun way. Like they'll realize I'm that, but they still jumping on the bait because it's funny. And that one had a girl who was 18 years old. I mean, she'd been paneling for a while. She'd grown up in that con, but that was her first one. She's moderating, and she was so serious. And she got her stuff done. I was like, oh. I'm gonna try not to wreck your heart, and I didn't. But I found I just pick up on cues very fast, and I just found, I'm gonna pick the one that she hates, just to irritate her, and it played well, and she loved it. And then she came to my game show and did, but it was like, be you is my point. Is whatever you bring to the table. You and I were at on a panel, and you brought up Lake Placid and how you believe. I was like,
the best movie of all time.
We could do random shower thoughts for finding the stories. It's just like one-offs of, tell me about thinking about this path.
Yeah,
and that's the thing. Gary Vaynerchuk says it best now he phrases it like you've worked all day, you've done your day job, and you're up at 2 a.m. and you're ready to go to sleep. You're exhausted. And yet that thing triggers you. Somebody says that thing, and now you're in, and you're talking again. What that thing is, that's what you're born to do. And for me, it's just talking to people. Yeah. That's my downfall. I was so 4 in the morning talking to anybody anytime, because it's just that there's a magical energy when you connect with somebody and you just talk, and time freezes. And I love Lake Placid, and that whole idea of the husband possessing the alligator is like, dude, what other movies can we figure out?
Yeah, no, I've been making a list. I feel like me and you, we just need to sit down and come up with a list 6 of them. And even if we just a 6-episode little something of that one weird thing about that one movie.
Yeah.
insane plot theories of of niche B movies.
And so if your audience wants that, they need to go to your Patreon and pledge $50 an episode,
Yeah.
so that you can afford to have me come on,
Right.
and we can do this show.
Yeah, there we go. There we go.
Yeah.
I think our goal now is we just both blow up to such a degree that our millions of fans, they're just like, we have to have that, and they just throw money at us.
Yeah, that's. I do have a dream. I know there's shows who do tours. My daughter actually just went up to one. Some triplets on YouTube. They did a surprise announcement tour, and the surprise announcement was so stupid. I won't even get into it. But she was like, "Oh my god, oh my god!" And they sold a lot of tickets, sold a lot of but their audience, Tina Bumpers, the McElroys, I see it. I want to do that, but then I want to do the next level of I really want to put on like a summer festival style pod concert where it's 5 different shows that build into the next one, into the next one, into the next one. And then the caveat, the headliner is not like my show or your show. The headliner is all the people that, or at least one person from each one of those shows comes together at the end for like a AMA panel and just messes with each other and just ends the night on a high note. Yeah. And that's where I'm trying to build to. And that's where it takes money, people. Patreon.com/please help. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
dude, I also want to go. I also want to do an OnlyFans where I just tell people how awesome they are. You sign up and you pay me $5 for the post. It's like, Bob, man, that book you wrote, you're so awesome, man. I love that insert thing here that you did in the book. Yeah. You're the best. But people just need the affirmations.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No. All right. We're nearing time. So you just said, hit us up on our Patreon. So let's, as we're heading out of here, tell people where's the best way that they can get you some money.
Oh man. So Linktree, linktr.ee, Linktree, but the dots before the 2 E's /RGOP42 for Rock Got a Podcasting 42. And it's got Patreon there. It's for the shows that I do. It's got PayPal to tip directly. And I want to say this about giving. It's very much like the church. Now, I don't believe in tithing. I haven't believed in tithing in churches, but I did find when I plug in to something, I get back. So, Dragon Con, you fill in the spot. When I started giving to Dragon Con, I got so much more out of it. If you can't, buy a book, if you can't come, $1 a month, man, just something. You feel connected. It helps. It really does change our lives. And I'm not going to speak for Bob, although I believe you're right there with me, Bob. I know the name of every last person who's given a penny or a positive word to what I do, and it makes all the difference. Here it goes.
This is Wise and Nerdy, where fatherhood meets fandom.
Oh, yeah. Joe made it back from the beach, but did he make it all the way home without his car blowing up? We're going to find out after the hour. Are you tired of being awesome alone? Well, so are we. So come with Tired Eyes. We talk about apps, websites, and tools that we love to be creative with. Woo! It's awesome time. Oh, Tyra, guess what?
You can see me this week.
I can see you this week. I can hear you this week.
But yeah, for me, it's
for you. It's what?
Oh, for me, it's, you know when something's wrong, and
yeah,
and it'll. I don't get writer's block in that I can't write because I can't think of what to write. I get writer's block in that something in my environment is incorrect.
Your soul is impacted.
Yeah.
It's like it's an infected tooth. You got an
Yeah.
infected tooth in your soul. You got to get it out.
And until I do,
Yeah.
it's stopped up.
Yeah. And then when you do, you flow like magic. And they were like, how do you do that? You're like, I'm just flowing, man.
Yeah.
Hey, Dory's on the beats.